You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Christopher is me. Hopefully I'm your friend here on this awesome journey called life. Now we're in August 2024, and appreciate you having or being along for the ride. And please do share this. It would be greatly appreciated. If you're not a subscriber of the Wings of the Eagle YouTube channel specifically, we would love that. Please do so immediately and hit the bell for notifications, because we do try to go live several times a week, whether it be our end-time church service or our podcast here or various other things. Just stay notified, okay? That would be a great help. Even better, though, we like likes and we love loves, but sharing is caring. Remember that. Sharing is caring. So even if you're not watching live, and if you're just listening on Spotify or one of the other podcast platforms around on audio, we love you just the same. Please do share it though with your friends, and visit the Patreon page that we have set up for Wings of the Eagle, patreon.com/Wings of the Eagle. There's an option for several things, including the Aviary, which is a private group that you can join, and we can discuss all things that we do here privately. And that is focused on the UFO topic and associated things, including what we're talking about today, which is the deep state. And Bond servant's already on the case. Piqued her interest. She says, sounds so interesting. I like a good conspiracy. Yeah, who doesn't, right? Sometimes they're true. Most times they're not. That's just the fact of the matter. But sometimes they are. And so this term, at least, this phrase has percolated up in the mid 2010s or somewhere in there. I don't remember exactly how it came into prominence, but Donald Trump definitely took it on as a meme, basically, to adopt it as the enemy, right? The deep state is the enemy of the people, and they're unelected bureaucrats who are, just they're never thrown out of their jobs. They just keep them for forever, and regardless of the will of the people, they're just always there, and they have their own agenda, and they have their own rules for themselves, and no matter who the president or whatever Congress is, these deep state people are the ones who really rule the show. That's the theory. I say, okay. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with that. There certainly is a big section of, and our government is so massive, you guys, literally millions of employees. So there's no way you can elect them all. So, and there's definitely, career people that are in most of those jobs, because they're not political jobs. They're just jobs. And so people do tend to stay in their careers if they like it. And frankly, if they get good government benefits, why not? I think that's kind of the easy explanation for why there are so many government workers. And we certainly haven't been interested in shrinking the size of that. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of them. But the conspiratorial side of it is, do they, is there some kind of secret or is there an agenda? Like they actually know each other, and they're talking together, and they have a agenda that they want to accomplish, and if certain people are in charge, then we've got to go around them or whatever to implement our evil agenda. So that's, in the 2016 election, it was a big deal. And again, it's hard to, because it's not a it's formless, right? It's kind of like it's a boogeyman. It could be anything, could be anyone. Doesn't sound good. We got to uproot that, but then all of a sudden it's whatever you don't like is the deep state, and that's where it becomes stupid and ridiculous, and it's just another red meat term for your base of voters to get them excited. Oh yeah, he's going to get rid of the deep state. Vote for him. Nobody can define what the deep state is. They just know that's the enemy. So whatever enemy you have, that's the deep state. Adam Rex with a pertinent question: is Smoking Man the deep state? This obviously is an X-Files reference. Is the smoke? If you don't know it, go watch the X-Files. Is the CSM, Cigarette Smoking Man? That's what he was when I was on the internet back then. Is Smoking Man the deep state, or does the Smoking Man work for the deep state? It's a good question. So I am going to try to answer this. Okay. So I ask, what is the deep state really? And of course, you are perfectly welcome to produce your own comments or questions or challenges or what have you. Please just type it in if you're watching on YouTube or X or Instagram even today. Please do go ahead and do that. Facebook, of course, too. We're also on the ETC app. Anyway, all those places, just put in what you want, and we can have a convo maybe in a minute. But so a short version, I'm not going to go into politics or whatever, but yeah, I know a little bit about it. I was involved for a long, long time in political things and grassroots organizations, in running a campaign, even for U.S. Senate. I was on 3 different presidential campaigns. So yeah, I know how it goes, and I know the temptation or the easy, the low-hanging fruit, if you will, of creating something that's really easy to get people behind, to rally behind. It's great for campaigning. It's great for elections. So the deep state is one of those things on the right. Okay. And now it's just become whatever liberals or Democrats want to do is now the deep state, which is nonsense. All right. People have opinions and they want their agendas, good agendas, or what they think are good agendas, legislative ideas, judicial, theories, okay, that's all. We can have debates about that and what's good or bad, but the theory of a deep state means they're unelected, unaccountable. That's the real one. When you say unelected, okay, pastors aren't elected. You can have jobs that aren't elected and work for the government, and who cares? Not everything could be an election, but when you're very high up or a person with a lot of responsibility in departments, for example, that's where we're talking about. Is there evidence? That's what we should be asking. Instead of just assuming that it's true, show me the Carfax, right? Show me the evidence. Where is the evidence of this deep state? And so how deep do you want to go? Sometimes it's easy. If you're talking about this, the intelligence community, quote unquote, the CIA, the NSA, all those alphabet soup agencies, where it's their job to be secretive and to pull off things in the dark, whether it be at home or in other nations. Of course, it's easy to pin them on. That's a deep state type of situation. But what are they? If there is an agenda, if they are hiding something, again, okay, what's the evidence? Well, we do have history of non-crazy stuff, but they refused to come out with it, so they had to be forced to come out with it. Right? So there are kind of conspiracy-laden things with the CIA. There's a reason why there is such a thing as an oversight committee now. It's just given now. But if 20, 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, there was no such thing. as an oversight committee for intelligence. Like the Congress just automatically, or the government generally, was just supposed to trust what this CIA did. In 1947, coincidentally, CIA, NSA, the Air Force, right? They're all invented that year. Sure, that's a coincidence for sure. But nobody was overlooking what they were doing. Nobody was seeing where the money went. Nobody was holding their leaders accountable. So that's a problem. Hence, now we have oversight committees, specifically for, let's say, the intelligence people like the CIA. And you're talking about MK Ultra, and you're talking about even Iran Contra. You're talking about all kinds of nefarious, illegal things that the government underground tries to get away with, that sometimes they do. But anyway, the best example of this is why there's a Gang of Eight. It's called the Gang of Eight in the Congress. There's always supposed to be 8 people, 4 in the depending, the different committees make it up. Okay. Supposed to be both parties, both houses, the bicameral. So there's oversight of the most sensitive, secretive things. They're supposed to know everything. There's literally no program in America that the Gang of Eight can't know about. That's the theory. I mean, that's the law. Is it the facts? Nope. No. So I call that. If you want to say what's the deep state, I say go to the programs that the Gang of Eight doesn't know about or haven't been fully told about, and the money is unaccounted for, and their leaders can't be thrown out. That's the deep state. And right now, there's only one thing that fits the bill for those secretive programs that everyone wants to. What is it I just read this morning? The phrase, the possum house or shop, or possum shop, maybe. In other words, the real deep state people are, when you get too close, they all play dead. Like, nothing to see here. I'm not here. This doesn't exist. What are you talking about? I don't work there. Those kind of lies. Okay. That they play dead. That's where it's at. Right. That's the real secret stuff. So other people have said this. I'm going to basically just blatantly rip off some other people's terms, but basically the deep state, as far as I could tell, and where the evidence is, and where the paper trail is, and where the money trail is with this UFO topic. The real secrets are there. The nuclear agency, nuclear regulatory agency, and before that, the nuclear Department of Energy, generally. Anyways, the nuclear stuff, where you're not supposed to know anything ever. And if you say, well, the radiation, therefore nuclear energy is happening around these UAPs, that means every single thing about them has to be kept from the public. That's where it is right now. So anyone who works in that and enforces that, that's a deep state person. And by the way, who is talking about exposing that one? Nobody. I mean, nobody presidentially. Maybe Robert Kennedy, or RFK Jr. has said kind of that type of thing. And, oh yeah, well, if I'm elected, I'm going to go expose, or, look into all that and declassify and disclose everything. Well, God bless you, but you're not winning. The polls are not. I was willing to give it be open-minded about his candidacy, as far as having a chance, and it might still become a historically high third party. 15%, 20% would be the best ever for a third party, and that's still kind of possible, but I don't really think so. Doesn't look like it now. So I don't think he's even going to win a state, much less win the election. So nobody's talking about disclosing anything about the deep state, really. So if you want to call it that, fine. But who is working there and who is enforcing it? Who is if there is really such a thing, then there's a unaccountable, unelected, not just unelected. By the way, I'm not the one who said that. When I say unelected, unaccountable, I'm talking like Carl Nell has said that. Carl Nell is a very high up U.S. Army officer over many years. He's been in the craziest, most classified situations, and now he's out and he's talking. And he's told you a couple months ago, point blank, there are unelected, unaccountable people in the federal government that know for a fact that their NHI, non-human intelligence, has been interacting with our world for many years. And there are crafts that we have of theirs. And all that implies. And he says it's 100% sure. There's no doubt about it, he says. He's saying that because he's a firsthand witness. So he's saying the unelected bureaucracy is in control of that information and knows it. That's the deep state. I mean, if you want to call it that, that's what it is. It's not some paper pusher, some guy running a calculator at the IRS. It's not the deep state. That's above board, right? So the evidence, the paper trail, the money trail, is there's a fourth branch of government that has been around. I mean, officially, we're talking, MJ-12 and all that stuff. The 40s and 50s was drawn up, and ever since then there's been a group, maybe only a couple dozen, maybe a couple hundred total, but they're not elected. They can't be fired. They can't be, nobody can know who they are, what they do, what their budget is, what they're working on, and it's all for the good of national security. And frankly, even though your average, conservatives like me are the ones who are always being told to rally against the deep state and all that, we really don't want to talk about it. When the facts, when they really come up, we're really talking about the deep state, we're really talking about exposing because our military's involved. Well, the conservatives in this country have been brainwashed into thinking you cannot criticize the Pentagon. Nobody in the military is like sacred. Anything in national defense, I'm good. National secrets, I'm good. I'm out of here. Can't look into that. We've been kowtowed into not looking into that stuff. Now, the left has their own sacred cows and all that stuff, but we're talking about psychological operations and what works to get somebody afraid and what works to make sure you're never looked at. And if it means threatening them, then that's what you're going to do. Physically, emotionally, financially, their families. David Grush can tell you all about that. It's real. And so, yeah, I think what the deep state really is, and you want to call it the fourth branch of government, the one that you can't get rid of because everything's classified. You can never know anything about them. You might even call them Men in Black. Okay. Your MIBs are the enforcers. They're the ones who were sent to enforce this secrecy of the deep state. The deep state seems to be evidence pointing to, paper says, money says, it's about the UFO issue. And so they're going to do whatever they're going to have to do to keep the status quo. But what we're seeing now is some of them who don't like that it's in secrecy and don't like being part of this conspiracy and don't want to be a deep state person, are trying to shed light. And we'll see. Names that you know and names that you don't. But they're there. And we've got a book, Lou Elizondo's book's coming out. And we've got documentary, James Oh my gosh, not James Woods. What the heck? Fox. His documentary's coming out, and that's all well and good, but you need more people who are in the program, quote unquote, in this deep state to come out and give evidence and give. Frankly, we need arrests. We need to say you're not above the law. And this program's over. You can claim national security all you want, but at the end of the day, it's not good enough. Anyways. All right. So what is the deep state really? The deep state really is those who are unelected, unaccountable, who know the truth about this UFO business and have been lying to you for 80 years about that. They've lied about other things. Yes. But this one is consistent. And it may blow up. I mean, right at any time, there may be what Carl Nell, again, going back to him, he made two versions of what's coming. Either to disclose, meaning to reveal the truth of this, all this stuff. It's either going to be controlled or chaotic or uncontrolled, catastrophic. So controlled disclosure is neat and tidy government doing the job itself. Now, I have serious doubts that is going to work, because government policing itself, I don't care what the issue is, they hate it. They hate it. Unless there's an absolute cry from the country, 90% approval, do this or else, they hate. I mean, you saw with the whole Secret Service thing, they're not going to fire themselves. There has to be an outcry on national TV from both parties for somebody to even quit. They're not interested in accountability, especially on themselves, and they are supposed to be looking over. They're supposed to have responsibility for. Oh, by the way, we lost $1 billion of your dollars. Whoopsie. Right? Anyways, so the real deep state is not political. It's not about Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberals, socialism, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Mitt Romney. None of those guys mean anything. They're above all that. They're not interested in political theory or implementing a type of government. They just want to do their thing without accountability, with all the money they need, period. That's the deep state. That's my view. Okay. All right. Well, comments. Adam Rex says, in my opinion, it's not totally far-fetched as a concept, the deep state. There's always a power behind the throne. It's darn near impossible to prove and too easy to blame for everything one wants. Well, that's what happened. The boogeyman becomes the blame for everything that you want it to be. Evidence be damned, right? Doesn't matter what the truth of the matter is. I don't like it. It's the deep state. This UFO stuff that is hidden tells me something's happening. Yeah. Right. And it's not even like I know all the answers. I know why they're hiding it. I know, I know what's really behind it. I know what UFOs are. I wouldn't listen to anyone who says that. I don't care who you are. As a Christian, I say that. This is not an easy answer. And part of the reason is maybe because they don't know either, but a big part of the mystery is we don't know nothing on purpose. They're telling us nothing on purpose. And they think this is somehow a good idea. It's going to work out just fine. Madam Rex says, and great government power attracting wealthy influencers and manipulators as a concept just flows with human nature. Yeah. But there's a bunch of baloney out there too. What if the deep state exists, but they are nice people? Who knows? And then she says, nah, can't be nice people. Not possible. I'm not personally making any judgments about whether they're nice or not. I don't know. I don't have any idea. I'm sure there's evil like Hamas, and then there's evil like, I'm just going to lie to you because I think it's worth it, and I'm never going to tell anyone about it, including my own family. That's evil too, but it's not Hamas in your face evil. They think they're doing it for a really, really good reason. They think they're protecting the country or the earth. That's possible. I mean, again, we really can't even get beyond the square one of this, of hypothesizing, because we don't know square one, but it's possible that they perceive, the reason why the secrecy is there is because they perceive a threat from UFOs, and there's good evidence that can support that. From abductions to the nuclear site intrusions to turning off missile silos to screwing around with our best airplanes and drones, just laughing at our technology and stuff like that. Like, you could construe that as threatening. So they might be under the impression, rightly or not, that this UFO issue is actually a threat to our survival as human beings or as America. I don't know. It's possible that that's why they're taking this level of security or secrecy, just like it all flows from the Manhattan Project template, right? The Manhattan Project, the creation of the nuclear bomb, nuclear weapons, and the development of that had to be done in total secrecy for a lot of reasons, mostly because we were at war at the time when it started, World War II, and the Germans were way ahead of everybody else in technologies, and they were going for this atom bomb, and boy, they better not get it. We better get it first to end this thing before, they've conquered Europe, basically. Where are they going to go next? And if they have this super weapon, right? So that's where it came from. And that's why this whole method and this template of compartmentalization, of siloing information, like you here in your small group, you only work on this, and then you guys over here in this group, you only work on this, and you never even know what each other's doing. You don't know who they are, you don't know what they're doing, you don't even know you're on the same project. But that whole system, that whole regime comes from the Manhattan Project, and that's remained. Whether it's just a coincidence or they thought it was the best, it worked before, let's just keep it going. It kept the nuclear bomb a secret, and it worked. And now we're just going to do the same thing with UFOs until either we figure this out, because we don't have it figured out, or we do have it figured out, but it's going to destroy America or destroy society or destroy humanity if we let the secret out. That might be what they are thinking. So in that way, that wouldn't be necessarily evil, even though the means by which they're keeping the secret is evil and is wrong and illegal and immoral. But they don't care about it because there's what they would say is a higher or greater good. We can do little evils, even threatening and killing our own people, if we're keeping the bigger secret, because it's better to not know, because we're safer that way. I don't know. I mean, that could be it. It could be that they're afraid of an invasion by non-human beings. And then maybe they've cut a deal. Again, there's writing and evidence, some of this, that there might be a contract in place, a treaty, saying basically the reason why we're not being told is we can't be told. That's the treaty. The NHIs, that we call them alien life, if you want, call them crypto-terrestrials, call them demons, call them whatever you think they are, future humans even, I don't know, but whatever they are, has made a contract, a treaty, and says you cannot tell your people about this. You have to keep it a secret. We're gonna, if we ever do want to be known, we're gonna do it ourselves. You can't do it. Maybe that's the treaty. And if you do it, we're gonna destroy your country or whatever. That's possible. Then there's the less threatening version, which is they're not here, they're not making deals with us for that. It's just all bad, evil humans wanting to keep technology for ourselves and wanting the best weapons and wanting the best energy and not wanting to tip over the apple cart of world economies by saying you don't need oil anymore. For example, that's a common one in the UFO world, that it's all about free energy. And we've discovered the way to do that, or the UFOs actually use this form of energy that's kind of basically unlimited, and you don't have to mine it or suck it out of the ground. And this whole economy that's based on oil would be over tomorrow if we brought this tech out, or if we told everyone about it. Even if we don't know how to do it yet, if we know that it's possible, and to keep that a secret, you're keeping people in poverty and suffering for your own purposes, and that's evil. Millions and millions and hundreds of millions and billions of people could have all the energy they wanted for free to heat themselves or cool themselves or to cook their food or to have jobs. Like, that's pretty evil. So there's that possibility that they're just, whatever, the big money in the world can't tolerate it right now. So that's another reason. Maybe. So anyway, there's all those scenarios out there, but we can't even get to the why because we don't even know the what. But what we do know is there is a secret being kept for sure. Long-term, political administrations don't mean anything. You can throw that out in the 60s. It was a proven fact. If this was started in the 40s and 50s, you're going both parties, two different visions for the country. One wants to reveal things, one wants to keep secrets, and the Nixons and the J. Edgar Hoovers versus the Kennedys and the everything being opened up, even Carter and the FOIA system when it first started. And wow, this is awesome. We could find out everything. And all of a sudden, no, let's tamp that down. So it has nothing to do with parties or personalities or individuals you can vote for. You can't change it by voting, other than, and this is where, and I had no intention of going here, but here we go. This is where things like the Citizens for Disclosure group of New Paradigm Institute, that's Danny Sheehan's group with many other really smart people, whose primary goal is to bring it up as an election issue, to say, where do you stand? It might not be the only issue people are thinking about, but it is one. And so where do you stand, Mr. Trump and Mrs. Harris, on the UAP bill that's now before the Senate that Rounds and Schumer have crafted again? 2 years in a row. One time it was basically destroyed, and now it's back again with all these crazy terminologies like non-human intelligence and UAPs and recovered biologics and reverse engineering programs. And all that stuff is still right there. What is your view on this? Do you support this bill? Right? Like things like that. So it's a very practical, real world type of way to try to make it an issue where people will start caring more, and maybe your elected representatives will start caring more and actually do their jobs and uncover and stop the flow of illegal money and illegal programs and expose these people who are this deep state for real. So anyway, that's my piece, I think, on that. Madam Rex says Grush has been through so much. Yeah, he just and he really has not even said much of anything. He just sued the guy in the sheriff, I guess, where he was from or is from, because they leaked information about his past that should have been private to a reporter. That's some deep state stuff. That is, right? It's illegal to release this information, and yet a reporter with, first of all, no reporter should be able to get it if it's illegal. Private information, medical information, or law enforcement information. Shouldn't be a thing. But if the right person says, go, look at it and so will help you out and turn it over for you. Yeah, that's deep state stuff. Anyway, so Mr. Grush he just sued this, I think it was the local sheriff for this illegality, and it's for a lot of money. And I don't think he's after money. I think he's trying to make a point and to scare potential, people who would do this anymore to stop it, which would be great. Ari, the UFO stuff, Bond Severin says, the fact that Grush says there is evidence and contact with non-humans, I find disturbing. You're right. It is disturbing. And if he's telling the truth, we've got to ascertain exactly what is going on there. If you take him at his word, and there's no reason to think he's lying, he does believe what he has testified to under oath. He said, this is what I found. When I interviewed people, this is what they told me. And this is the pattern that emerged. And this is what I was not only told, but when I tried to raise the issue, I was not persecuted. I had to seek whistleblower protection because I was being retaliated upon for learning these facts. Well, that if they're not true, if there is no program with non-humans and crafts and engineering and whatever and bodies, why would you care? You would just say, all right, whatever, crazy man, say what you want. You're fired. Right? No big deal. It's not true. Who cares? Why spend 1 minute on it? It'll just go away. So, yes, it is disturbing, and it should be disturbing. And this is the reason why, it's been over a year now of most of my episodes here on Unsealed have been on this topic, because it's such a great, large shock to your worldview. That's the fancy term for that, is ontological shock. Your worldview, what you believe is true about the universe, about the world around you, all of a sudden might not be true. Folks can denigrate that or think, oh, it's no big deal, I'll just continue on with life if we find out this is all true. I call bull on that. I don't care what you believe now. Unless you believe that story currently and you think it's no big deal, you're a small, teeny tiny minority of the human race. Okay? Most people do not believe that there are non-human intelligences, UFOs, we have crafts, we have bodies, we've communicated with these other things, and it's been going on in Carl Nels and David Grush has a minimum of 100 years, not just 10 years ago these guys showed up and we're trying to keep it hush-hush. It's long-term, generational, maybe far, far longer than 100 years, maybe hundreds or thousands of years, potentially. That's a world-changing view. No one thinks that today. I mean, they don't operate that way. To sell books, maybe, but it's a worldview changing situation. And so I call bull on that no one would care. And I also call bull on the Christians who think they know it all and that this would be no big deal. They know it's demons. We're fine. Or, whatever. Or they're just, other creatures. God created other creatures and that's who they are. And it'll be great. We're just going to get along. That's bull too. Both those extremes, very unwise. And not really scriptural, to be honest with you. So we've got to figure this thing out. Again, as an American citizen on that level, I'm concerned. As a human being, I want to know the truth. Can I have free energy? That'd be great. No electric bill, no gas in my car. The whole world would change just on that. Okay. I'm interested on that and concerned on that level. And Of course, if there are weapons involved, there are. There's weapons development. If there are these high technologies, the first thing is not, wow, how do we get poor people out of the gutter? It's how do we murder more people with weapons? Or, I'm sorry, defend against our enemies in Russia or China. And I'm not saying that we don't have enemies there. We do. Okay. But the first reaction is to build a gun or a craft that can destroy other people's airplanes and tanks. That's the first thought. You got it. I'm putting my money on that. If I had to bet on something, that's the first thing we're doing with this tech. If there is such secret tech going on, exploitation. And it's not just us. I'm just talking about the deep state in America now. Russia has every evidence is Russia has their own program. They've recovered UFOs themselves. They may have talked to or recovered these non-humans also. And the Chinese have their own program, not together with the Russians. Okay. And yeah, what if somebody succeeds in creating a super weapon? Or what if whoever these other guys are, these NHI folks, determine, you know what? We're just going to come out. We're going to announce ourselves, or we're going to give our weapons away for free. Good luck. Or maybe, in fact, it's like a sweepstakes, like the lottery. Okay, one lucky country, one leader gets our weapon. Who is it going to be? All right. All that is possible and would totally screw up your worldview, no matter what you believe now. So yeah, it's devastatingly important. And again, just as a Christian, to wrap this up finally, I'm very concerned about that. And I'm very concerned about how Christianity, because we're divided into so many parts and denominations right now. But if there's any kind of effort to talk as one body of Christ into what this all would mean and how we're going to deal with it. And because our people, as church leaders, as people, if you are responsible for souls, if you have people in your congregation, whether that's 100 people or 100,000 in your denomination or whatever, what are you going to tell them? Because right now you can't tell them jack. You don't even believe it's real, probably. So, yeah, that's going to be a big issue. And Bond Servant says, my kids disrupt my ontological views frequently. Well, I don't doubt that. It's going to be way more extreme than that, I could imagine. Anyways, all right, friends, that's about all we've got for today. Actually, I see a new comment. Oh, that's not on today's. Sorry, somebody is commenting on another video. But please subscribe to the Wings of the Eagle YouTube channel. It's a big, huge help. If we've helped you today and you want to support what we do, go to wingsoftheeagle.com/support unsealed, and you can give whatever you can, because we're brought to you 100% by that. People's giving is the only way we do this. This costs money, everything you see. And so, okay, that's the facts. And maybe you want to support us in a way that gets you something in return. Go to the Patreon page and see our nascent offerings there. And the plan is, the endeavor is to make that better soon and be more, have a lot of stuff there for folks who would want to help us that way. If that's interesting to you, including that secret group that no one will ever know you're a part of, called the Aviary. All right. If you want to use it, let's talk about it. All right, friends. So what is the deep state really? If I haven't said so already. It's not political. It's not theoretical. It's not about a system of governance. It's not about keeping parties or people out or putting them in. It's about keeping the secret that is multi-generational, multi-party, over and above party and elections, because they're not elected. And it has nothing to do with regular stuff like the IRS or the Board of Education or the State Department or any of that stuff. It's the stuff that you can't be told about. And they must keep the secret at all costs. At all costs. That's what it is. Bond Servant says, maybe get a guest on this UFO topic. Well, I would welcome it, but I don't have the time to look for people. So if you want to come on the show, reach out. If you want to give your 2 cents and maybe you're an expert in some way on that or have some experience or whatever, great. Reach out to the podcast, Manti4 on the X platform, or you can reach out Christopher at wingsoftheeagle.com or just go to unsealedpodcast.com. There's a contact form there. Okay, good deal. All right. And by the way, the happy medium might be maybe one of you folks, my viewers, who thinks this is interesting and wants to hear from someone. You can be the intermediary. Okay, you can reach out to the person who you want to hear interviewed by me, or not even interviewed, just have a conversation. That's what I would prefer. I'm not really here to promote someone's stuff. Okay, nobody really wants that. Let's just talk to each other and get to the bottom of it, or maybe just what's your expertise or what's your experience. Great. So make that connection. Someone out there who's watching knows someone else who would like to see that. Reach out to that person and have them reach out to me or whatever. Okay. All right. Good deal. I do love you guys, and I do thank you for watching this special podcast we have called Unsealed. I'm Christopher Manti. Until next time, well, maybe next Thursday. Maybe not. We'll see. But always remember, stay tuned. If there's any breaking news that we want to come on with, we will come on our YouTube channel, guaranteed at a moment's notice. And we bring you what you need to know, things that Scripture says are important. That's what I care about. So keep an eye open. Until next time, this is Unsealed.